look, you'll get the intro tomorrow. When you get the, we got to edit that in. I didn't really.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really do that.
I will say this though. Even though I like the live streaming, I do miss the studio.
I do too. And then this guy keeps on popping up.
Oh man,
he about to go
I
upstairs.
got the little one upstairs too.
Because he'll be a distraction the whole time. I'll be trying to talk sports, and he just man. So but what's good, man?
I see you had an exciting weekend using like a DJ.
So all right, so I explained that. So
hold on before you start though. A lot of people know this about Ant, but he thinks he is DJ Clue.
No, I do not. Man.
If you're not a regular listener of our show, one of our key points in our show is we play music during the break, and Ant will not let anybody take over the music. He just swears up and down. He is the best DJ. Now,
that is not true, man.
So it's been about 2 or 3 times that, in the course of probably a 3-year or more like 5-year mark, to where I played the music. And when I tell you somebody that is a pure hater,
who's a hater? You.
When I play the music, if it's not up to your standard,
oh, absolutely. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah. And I'm like, yo, I know I got skills, but anyway, man, go ahead.
I mean, that's debatable, and I guess that's why we hit it.
You know what? If your little competition wasn't so late, I think I could take the belt.
Scott, listen, we could always find a time for you to get in the battle. You have to go through somebody else before you get to me though, because I don't won that joint twice. So let me go back a little bit. So a few weeks ago, we was just in our little group chat, and I was like, yo, why don't we just have a little battle of our own, just for fun or whatever. And we was like, all right, so we did the first one just out of whatever, and I won. So I was like, so there's other guys in the group, so we had 3 different winners. That's why last week we went live doing it. And these dudes, Ern and Mike, they were talking so much trash to me, like, and those judges last week, which was Marlon, Nair, and Charles, right? They were hating on me a little bit, but the tunes I played were so good that they couldn't hate no more. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so this is my feedback that I'll give you.
Oh boy!
To me, you started off a little rough, but
you think so? I won the first round.
I think okay. So I thought Love got robbed in the first round, but as the competition progressed, you represented off the record really well. As the competition progressed, I hate to give you your credit, but
why? You have come on.
I was secretly rooting for Love or Ern. I did not want you to win that joint. No. So I can hear how good you are, and I'll never ever get an opportunity to play music on my show again.
Listen.
I was not trying to hear it.
It's practice, man. Practice, and then one day you'll be able to battle me, and then we'll go from there, man. But nah.
I got a special shout out to everybody that created that. They get a resounding FU from Scotty B for not inviting me to that joint.
That's not true. Listen, Scott. First of all, we did it. I already know you in bed by 8. So in order for us to include you in the battle, we have to do it at noon. So no. And we start kind of late because they go Nair right there. So let me tell you. Another real quick before we even get to the sports. Nair, so the very first one, it came down to me versus him. It was me, Nair, and Ern. Matter of fact, this was Ern's birthday, and that's the reason why I wanted to do it, because I wanted to spank Ern on his birthday. Pause. Right?
Yeah.
So he keeps on saying, because I think I beat him. It came down. We had to go in like overtime or whatever. and I played I forget what he played, but I played I think I played a Drake joint or something like that. And he was so mad. I said he had the opportunity to play it as well, but he didn't play it. And he was so heated, man. So
I will be on a serious note, real talk. I think I could be competitive if I had my wife with me. Throwing out, because you could cheat with that joint, right? So I saw how you were by yourself. Ern looked like he was by himself. Love
had a lot of help, right?
So if you got somebody to bounce some ideas off of, you could prevail. So I think like if I had me and my wife, I could be competitive because she'd be like, yo, what about this joint? What about that joint? And it'd kind of pick me up. But to do it on the spot and to have to adjust to what everybody else is doing, it's a lot harder than it may look. You know?
And so to bring it to the sports part, before going into this battle, since I knew it was Battle of the Champions, I prepared and I put together a list. So it was almost like I had a playbook, right?
Okay.
And I had a list, and I was like, first round I'm gonna go with these, second round these, blah blah blah, and they almost Ern had a chance to get me off of my game to where I didn't have to go through my list, but then he went and played something that should have been played in the first round instead of to determine the champion, and then it was so.
So I felt like you had a tribute to Kobe Bryant during that.
Which one?
Well, just how you started out. Just the first episode of the Last Dance, where it had Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Talking about. Yeah. So let's get into that, man. What you think about the last one?
I thought it was great as normal as usual. I tell you what though, I always knew Jordan was petty, but my God, he's petty. He's like king petty, and and man, he holds grudges.
Elaborate.
Just not necessarily the grudges part, but the Clyde Drexler thing. I ain't gonna lie, a little bit. I felt a little bad for Clyde Drexler because I was like, he said, "You gonna compare him to me? You gonna compare him to me?" And then went on to pretty much destroy them in that series. And then with the following year with Dan Marley with and we'll get into that, where they said Dan Marley was this great defender and he felt offended,
So I'd give you a little back history on Clyde Drexler.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that don't know, he has a knack for just saying the wrong thing at the wrong moment. So I didn't feel sorry for him when Jordan.
Oh no, I didn't.
Brought out like a fact that it's not a fair comparison, Clyde Drexler versus Michael Jordan. And he dominated that series. So,
and I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan held, because Portland didn't draft Jordan because they had Drexler. So I wouldn't be surprised if he held that against Clyde Drexler as well. They just didn't mention it. I wouldn't be surprised.
That last episode. So let's talk about the gambling.
Okay,
that seemed to be like the focal point of it. Do you feel like Michael Jordan has a gambling problem?
No.
You don't?
No. So and maybe I'm in the minority because I like to go to the casino and things of that nature. But I don't think he does, because it'd be different if he was gambling on his team or picking games and stuff like that. If he was betting money that he didn't have and had to resort to like putting up his house or his car or something like that, then I say yeah, he got a problem. But if he's betting money that he can afford and honestly it looks like it's all in fun and just like his little hobby, then what's the problem? And he's not breaking any laws, there's no problem.
All right, so here's where I'm at with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so everybody has their vice, Nobody's perfect.
Right.
Obviously, his vice is gambling.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like he got a little bit defensive about it. Like sometimes
I don't blame him.
when somebody calls you out on something that
Mm-hmm.
you may not see a problem. Like, for instance, somebody might be like, Scott, you just drink entirely too much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, I go to work and I pay all my bills and I take care of all my responsibilities. So it's not a problem. And you find yourself getting defensive. I felt like that with Jordan when they cornered him into like, okay, do you have a gambling problem? He's like, nah, my wife, she good with it. Everybody good with it. So I'm just going to live my life. It still doesn't escape the fact that you might have a little bit of a problem. I mean, aside from him, we know Jordan had it. And we know Jordan could throw away thousands of dollars. And, what's his name? The guy that covers Chicago, not Michael Wilbon, but the other one that's
you talking about Sam Smith?
No, it was the commentator, J.A. Adonde, I think.
Okay.
No? Yeah. It might have been him. And he was comparing, like, Jordan losing $50,000 may be equivalent to me losing 50. So, you can't get too scared of the sums, but it felt like he was gambling every chance he got with everybody.
So I will say this. That on the bus playing card, like how I think it was Paxson saying they was playing for like $1 a hand and stuff like that. But him, Scotty, that happens on every level, with damn near every sport. Because I remember when I was playing arena and we had a game in Illinois, and we were betting on the draft combine was on. And we was betting like $1, $5 on the people running their 40s and who could come closest to the 40. So I've seen it in college. I've seen it in high school. I've seen it, everywhere. So I don't necessarily think it's a problem. Now, when he went to Atlantic City, because they brought that up when they was playing the Knicks. His dad is the one who suggested that they go to Atlantic City to get out of New York. So, I mean, me personally, I don't think it's a problem.
So you think it's more of him being a competitor than a gambler?
That sounds that's a good word to use.
I mean, that's what he said. He said he had a competition.
He
always wanted to win, and it wasn't a gambling problem. Do you think that a lot has been overhyped regarding that?
Regarding his
just the gambling in
general. I think it was just that episode and what I've noticed from watching this from watching The Last Dance is that they find one thing and they're gonna blow that joint up. And then we're gonna end up talking about it for the week. And then the next 2 episodes will come on. We'll find one thing to talk about, and then we'll blow it up. So I think that it has been actually blown up more than it actually is an issue.
Did you get more perspective of why he left playing basketball?
Why he left or love?
Left.
So they're gonna get more into that. Now, me personally, my thoughts on this. I've felt for a long time that there's more to him just being tired of playing basketball. I think there's more to it. I don't think we're gonna get that answer either next week, but I think there's more to it. I think gambling that might have possibly been a reason. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more to it than just him being tired of playing basketball.
And see, I go the other way. I think I kind of saw how he could just get tired of being him and being in that spotlight. And I think the gambling or them questioning the gambling kind of made him reevaluate some things a little bit, where it's like, you know what, I'm sick of being on this podium. I'm sick of everybody always having something to say. I'm sick of, being cooped up in this room. Because he made one statement that I think about is like, everybody wants to be like Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I challenge you to be like Mike for a year.
A year or a day?
He said a year.
Yeah.
And when you start to think about like, you always have to be on. You've got the rigorous schedule. You've got the commitment to a whole bunch of stuff, and you've got to perform. You got to be the best. You got to go out there and you got to produce. That mentally can be draining on a person. Where you can figure like, okay, he's got his 3 championships. He's been doing this. I think at the time it was right around his 10th year, 9th or 10th year.
Which time?
The time where he quit to play baseball.
Yeah, that was right around his 10th year.
Yeah. Well, I can see where it could be a little bit tiring. I also gained a lot more respect for like LeBron James.
For going for so long, right?
For going for so long, and just for the most part, you don't really have anything negative to say about LeBron James, and he's been in the spotlight.
Well, we don't, but we already know.
Aside from the basketball, it's not too much you can say negative about him.
Yeah. I mean, I think LeBron, he's shown, because let's be for real, he's pretty much had that Jordan treatment since he was a junior in high school. We'll say a senior. From his senior year to, so what's that, 18, 19 years, he's been the guy in the spotlight. And I mean, that's got to take a toll, but again, he finds a way to handle his business and make sure he is doing the right thing. The worst thing you can say about LeBron is the decision.
So one thing I am going to be critical of with The Last Dance is I feel like we're missing a lot of interviews from people that were in the know. Like I feel like you can tell that Michael Jordan had to sign off on a lot of stuff. They kind of skipped over a lot about his locker room behavior and what type of teammate he was. I'm not saying Michael Jordan was a bad teammate, but
from what I saw, we getting into that the infamous Steve Kerr face punch. We getting that this week.
Well, I would have liked to heard from like Bill Cartwright.
Right.
A lot of people don't know the story of when Charles Oakley was traded for Bill Cartwright. And he first got into the Chicago locker room. They had a couple of heated practices to where Jordan wanted to showcase that Bill Cartwright didn't have good hands and had pretty much belittled him the entire practice. So Bill Cartwright got fed up with it and told him in the locker room, "You ever berate me like that again, I'm gonna break both your legs." No, real talk. And a lot of that stemmed from, I guess, the storyline of Jerry Krause. You see I don't want to say a hatred, but a strong dislike for Jerry Krause. And one thing was Charles Oakley and Michael Jordan were boys.
They were boys.
Krause traded him to get Bill Cartwright. And from what I've heard, that didn't sit too well with Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and I could believe that, but I think Jordan quickly realized that they needed to trade to get Bill Cartwright to win that championship.
What about your boy Craig Hodges? Did you hear about him?
I did, and that is pretty funny because we all know Craig.
Give everybody a backdrop on Craig Hodges.
So Craig Hodges, he's so he had some political stances in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and he pretty much got blackballed from the NBA. No one picked him up. He pretty much, and then you talked about this a couple years ago when we was talking about the Kaepernick thing, where he was well and able to play, a great shooter, and he couldn't get a job in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, it was some stuff. I guess like he wanted to wear a dashiki to the White House. No, I'm serious. He did. He wanted to wear like a dashiki to the White House, and I mean, you go back in time. I mean, yeah, it was the '90s, but that type of stuff wasn't as I don't want to say tolerated, but it wasn't as promoted.
Right.
He was pretty much the Colin Kaepernick before Colin Kaepernick, and so here's the thing about Craig Hodges, and we'll get into what he said. Craig Hodges has always been an advocate in Michael Jordan's ear for him speaking up for the Black community and some of the social issues. And that was something that he was on back in the early 90s. I remember they said Craig Hodges was trying to get Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan to basically not play in the finals. And Magic Johnson was like, nah, man, we ain't doing like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Craig Hodges was on a lot of the stuff, not to take away from Colin Kaepernick, but he was on a lot of that stuff back then, but he was blackballed. He could play, he could shoot. But I think after the three-peat, he wasn't on that team. He was
right.
That's when he ended up getting blackballed from the NBA.
And then he I guess he had an issue with I guess Jordan saying something. I think this was in the first two episodes when he said something about the cocaine circus or whatever. And so Craig Hodges really had a problem with that. And I think he has a problem with Jordan speaking out against some of his teammates and pretty much saying that he's breaking the bro code or he's going against the fraternity and whatever. And I kind of understand that because even like, let's just say, I forget the guy from last week where he was talking about him being Dennis Rodman Jr. I can't think of his name. Burrell, yeah. So, he brought that. I think even if Scott Burrell has gotten that, I mean, that was, almost 30 years ago. But even if he's gotten that stuff, or 20 years ago, even if he's gotten that stuff, explained, and you don't want to go through that again. You don't want to have to explain that again and try, just the uncomfortability with that and all of that. And then him speaking out against Scottie Pippen, saying that Scottie Pippen was being selfish. I could see how some people could say, you tripping because you got your money and don't get out of my pockets. So,
see, I didn't have a problem with Jordan saying anything about like the cocaine circus. He didn't give any names.
He didn't, but that's still funny though, man. The cocaine circus.
He said he popped up at the hotel room, knocked on the door, and all his teammates were in there smoking weed, snorting coke. I mean, he didn't give out any names, and I mean, at that point, you're talking that was almost 36 years ago.
Yeah, because that was around the time when he first got into the league.
It was a preseason.
So what's his name wasn't even there.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't there. So like, come on, man. Like, relax, man. Like, so I don't know. I think it's a bit of I don't want to say bad blood, but he's in his feelings about not being able to participate in the documentary. I think he should have. I feel like if you have BJ Armstrong on there, why not have Craig Hodges?
Well, I mean, he probably knew what stuff Craig Hodges was going to be on too. He probably was like, "Nah,
that's true. That's true.
Nah, you got to sit this one out." So I got a question and I guess we'll move on to something. Mm-hmm. Do you think Michael Jordan would have went to another team had free agency been the way that it is now?
That's a good question. It's quite possible. It's quite possible. I think so because he had a before his last 4 years or 3 or 4 years, he had crappy contracts anyway. So if he had the opportunity to go to the Rockets and play with Olajuwon and whoever for that, for an extraordinary amount of money, he probably would have done it. Why not?
And the only reason I bring that up is his strong dislike for the front office. And he seemed happy, but not happy with the front office. And it seemed like him, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, they were always at odds with the front office. And if they would have had the right opportunity, they'd been like, nah, we ain't rocking with Chicago. I mean, he was pretty candid about his dislike with Jerry Krause.
He wasn't the only, and that's my thing. So why would you go at Scottie? I mean, I know he probably talked to Scottie about that before, but it was he had a terrible contract, and he's going into his last year. I don't know, man. He knew how he felt about Jerry Krause, and maybe this. I guess this was after the fact, but still, come on, man. You can't say he was being selfish when.
See, and I didn't take offense to it. I felt like that he just was saying that he would have handled it a lot different. He would have not prolonged the surgery, and he would have handled it a little bit different.
True. All right, so we got Andy says Craig Hodges needs his own documentary.
He does.
So you think so? I would want to watch that.
It might be 15 minutes, but
nah, he
does need his own documentary.
He has enough info. He has enough info for a 30 for 30, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. Absolutely. Because you got to think, Scotty. We don't know his backstory before the NBA, and we don't know how he grew up. And listen, he was blackballed, and he could play. So it wasn't like he was a scrub. He wasn't a superstar, but he wasn't a scrub. And that's a story that people
critical role player.
Absolutely.
He's critical to those teams,
right? And so if you have. You can make they can make an hour out of, because you got commercials.
No, I mean you could get an hour.
Yeah, you can get an hour, even if it's 2 hours. You can find 2 hours out of that.
Hey, well,
maybe he's the only one that won a 3-point contest without being on the team.
So I got a viewer that said Craig Hodges was a bum.
He was a role player, man. He was a role player.
All right, man. It is what it is.
All right, so let's what time we got? So you got a winner? Oh, I got that. Hold on 1 second.
No winner. No winner this week.
You know what? I'm about to give you the winner of the week, because that you're not gonna keep. Listen. All right, you know what? I'm about to vent for a second. So Scott has more. He has more segments on this show than anybody else. He has a segment in the damn intro. Okay, he has the winner of the week. That's not in the intro, but he got the damn thing, and he has the what is it? Fantasy 5, right? So I give some backstory to that, because when we first started doing the show in 2014 in Richmond, Scott called me and said, "Yo, can I do a segment?" And he was like talking about fantasy, whatever, right?
Oh man, this
so I'll tell the whole story. So that first episode, it was crazy. I was all nervous, and Scott wasn't in the studio. So so I was like, Scott, it was Scott's time to do the Fantasy 5. It was only supposed to be 5 minutes. I was so nervous. I said, "You know what, Scott? You got it." I didn't interrupt him. And he went on and talked about fantasy football for 13 minutes. Right? So anyway, huh?
It was a long time.
It was a long time, yeah, and it was a long time ago too. But so fast forward to now, this dude don't even want to do the damn fantasy 5. If y'all haven't noticed, he hasn't done a fantasy 5 in about a year and a half, 2 football seasons now, and people keep on asking him. They ask him to his face. They relay the message through me, and he says, "No, I don't want to do it because I don't want guys to get all my info when I'm playing them in fantasy football."
Yeah, that's what Cats was doing. Cats was listening to me on the show,
right?
Not even wanting my moves, but just blocking me just to block me. I'm just gonna pick up that player because I know that you may be interested.
But Scott, you're the fantasy guru.
Oh,
so those little 5 points, so those little 5 pointers that you're giving shouldn't stop. You listen, don't come on, man. So now come to the winner of the week, right? He wants to do a winner of the week. I said, all right, cool, that's dope. Blah 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 blah. Now he don't even want to do the winner of the week no more.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
Hey, you know what? This is getting ridiculous. So I'm about to put up a poll, not a poll, and we want to know if Scott should keep the winner of the week or if he shouldn't.
All right. So I got a question for you, man.
What's up?
You saw was a Major League Baseball player. He posed the question that if he doesn't feel safe to play because of the coronavirus, should he be able to sit out and there not be any consequences? What are your thoughts on that?
Now, so this is with or without fans?
This is without fans, just in general.
And no. If everybody, because they're not going to be able to play unless they all get tested. So everybody's getting tested. Everybody's going to have to get tested. It's not like they're going to randomly pick guys to test for the coronavirus. In order for them to start, everybody's going to have to get tested. And if everybody's getting tested, and so what's the problem? And everybody tests negative, what is the problem?
I felt like it was a valid point.
It is valid, but if everybody's getting tested, why can't he participate?
And he brought up something else too, that if he doesn't feel safe and he doesn't want to participate, he thinks the team should hold his roster spot.
If they're back to playing baseball, and everybody's tested and everybody's negative, and they proceed with the season, and the season starts as business as usual, and there's no fans, I don't see how you can justify not playing.
Not feeling safe.
From what? Everybody's tested.
But you still got the virus out there, still unknown. People don't know about it. I mean, you have a lot of extreme people on different sides of the spectrum.
I understand that.
One of those people that's like, look, I'm not coming outside my home until everything's clear.
And
everybody. I mean, there's people that work with people like that.
I understand
like,
that.
I don't care what's going on. I'm not reporting.
And I understand that, but he should. No, he has to play. And I'm sensitive to him, to his stance. But if everyone's tested and everyone is considered negative, then I don't see a problem with him having to play. Then also, and I'm not comparing coronavirus to the flu. I'm not comparing coronavirus to any other disease, but you have to. I mean, you play when there's other things going out there. When there was SARS and MARS and MERS and all of that.
So one thing that he made me think about is, as we talk about everybody getting back for sports and talking about getting everything away, they haven't done a good job of thinking about the players. and how they may feel.
Okay, so Ian poses 2 questions. The first one is, what if a spouse of a player is sick? I'm gonna show both of them. And he said, and the player doesn't show symptoms at time of testing, but needs to be quarantined. Right?
Right.
So if the spouse of a player is sick, this is my opinion, and but if a spouse of a player is sick, he needs to let that team know, and then that's something totally different. That's a whole different situation. The other question about them not showing symptoms, if you take a test for the virus and you don't have symptoms, the test is still going to show a positive sign if you have the virus. They have yet to say that to say otherwise.
So, all right, you got the NBA, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
starting to kind of open back up their arenas, depending on whatever city.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams are not testing people that are asymptomatic. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either.
My whole thing is, like, if you can't test everybody, then you better plan on not having a season. Every single player should be tested, no matter if they show symptoms, if they don't show symptoms, because we know that we don't know everything about this virus, but we do know that people don't always show the signs or don't show the symptoms that have it. So everybody needs to be tested. There's no cut cards there. Everybody needs to be tested.
So that leads into my next question. How often is everybody tested?
Well, yeah, I mean, that one is, they have to come up with something, because
because suppose you're tested one time, right? You're
mm-hmm.
tested right when you report back to the team.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where those people are going.
And that's why they're talking about having, like, all the teams in one area, which I think that's a good idea. Like Disneyland, they had Disneyland was an option, and I think Atlantic City or something like that. But having everybody in the same area, so Ian says test every game. We have James Crow, what's going on? He said test the players weekly. I mean, the thing is, we have to have enough tests. That's the biggest thing, and I think that's what's gonna halt some of the sports coming back in ample time, because there's not enough tests. So once you start getting enough tests, then yeah, you can start planning on bringing the games back. But I do like the NBA's idea of, and I think baseball talked about it too, having everybody in one central location.
I just think it's a lot of risk with it. All right, so I got another question for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
While we're out, do you think the players should continue to be paid?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt.
So if baseball doesn't go on, like let's say the baseball season
they don't have a season
back. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think those players should be paid for that?
Mm-hmm. I think that even if it's not their whole contract, I think it should be something. I think it should be maybe 65% or whatever percentage of the baseball is a multi-billion-dollar business. And I know, they're losing a lot of money from they're losing a lot of money from not having the fans in the stands. But yeah, you got to pay them. You have to pay them. Baseball's made way too much money to try and cry broke. They can't cry. Can't none of these professional leagues cry broke. So yeah, they should pay the athletes.
No, I think they should pay the athletes too. I just struggle to figure out where the money's going to come from. I know a lot of them they've got the TV contracts, but like you said, stadium revenues. I mean, that's huge for team payroll. So it goes into if they lose a whole season, can they really sustain paying everybody?
Yes. Yes, they can. They can.
I don't know, man.
Just think about this. Well, they don't have to worry about certain costs in those arenas or those stadiums. Certain costs go away with those arenas being closed and those stadiums being closed. So so here's the thing: it's gonna be tough, but these billion dollar owners can handle. They can handle losing. They can handle it. They can handle it because they've generated so much money in their time. But these players, some of them will be all right, but you have less Mike Trouts and more who give me somebody the 21st player on the baseball roster. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are the ones that's going to suffer the most. And plus, in regards to baseball, their contracts are guaranteed anyway, so they're going to have to get paid. Or it's going to be a lot of lawsuits. Now, if we talking NFL, I honestly think that's when it's going to really get real for everyone, because if we lose football games, the way people love football in this country, that's when it's really everybody's gonna sit down and be like, whoa. Because even right now, we missing basketball and it'll be the playoffs right now, but we've had some things to take our minds off of basketball. The Last Dance is gonna be over in a couple weeks. And then it's May now. 2 months. 2 months is when football's supposed to start. So if we lose football games, then it's going. I don't know, man. It's going to start looking real crazy.
I think we got to prepare ourselves to at least have a shortened football season. I don't think we're going to have a full football season.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I've had this worry for the last few weeks just because we're high school, like with high school athletics and everything. I coach high school football, so if they're not in school, they're definitely not gonna play no football. So who I don't know, man. But here's the thing: the states are starting to open back up soon. So here's my thing. I don't think the flu ain't go nowhere. It's dormant, but yeah, you have a vaccine, but we deal with it now that it's here. It's here. The flu hasn't gone anywhere since forever. Well before we was alive. So I don't know. It's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with somehow, some way. We have to find a way, somehow, some way.
So I almost forgot, man. Rest in peace, Don Shula.
Rest in peace, Don Shula. And we about to get to football too. So
winningest coach ever.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of Don Shula, where do you rate him as far as coaches?
Oh, Don Shula? As far as what? NFL coaches?
Yeah, as far as the greatest of all time, where do you put him?
Oh, he's top 3. He's top 3.
Who's your top 3?
You got Belichick. I think you got to give Belichick his props. And you got Lombardi. And then you have Shula. And some may put Parcells right there. You can't forget about Jason Garrett. He's definitely. I'm joking.
Where's Bill Walsh?
Oh no. So Bill Walsh and Bill Parcells. Ooh.
Do you put Tom Landry?
Tom Landry's there.
Chuck Noll.
That's in the top, whatever.
Reason why I bring this up is I read an article and it was talking about Don Shula was the greatest coach of all time.
Well, he's the winningest coach, so
he's the winningest coach. He coached 33 years. He's got the only undefeated season. He's got 2 Super Bowls. I think he's got a championship with the Colts. He's only had.
Oh wait, did he win a championship with the Colts? I thought they lost.
No, he won one.
Okay.
He's got only 2 losing seasons, and he was able to adapt. Start off as a running coach, but
because they didn't have, because when he started, they didn't have forward passing. No,
right? So, probably not. So it just posed the question to me. I've never considered Don Shula in that top 3.
Really?
Maybe top 5. No, I've always thought Bill Belichick, Bill Walsh. I've had like Chuck Noll in there, but I guess you can make the argument that Don Shula was a better coach. Yeah, I mean, some people would think Paul Brown should be there. Vince Lombardi just made a good. I mean, yeah, Vince Lombardi goes in over him.
Yeah, so I have Vince Lombardi at 2, and now that I think about it, I have Bill Parcells and Don Shula right around the same. But I think Bill.
Some people throw Jimmy Johnson in there too.
I just don't think Jimmy Johnson has the longevity as these other coaches. But you have but with because Bill Parcells is going to catch Don Shula. He's going to be the winningest coach in the history of the NFL.
Somebody said John Madden.
I mean, why not? John Madden was a good coach though. How many Super Bowls he won? 2?
1.
He won 1 Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know. I mean, John Madden was a good coach.
I think Madden's an argument. I think if you talk about contribution to football, up there. I think his I wouldn't say it's greater than Don Shula, but I mean, just
you sure he only got 1 Super Bowl? I thought he had 2. He only got 1.
He got 1.
All right. I mean, that's not the end all be all though. I mean, he's went to more than 1, but I mean, Mike Dicker's up there. Mike Dicker should be considered one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Absolutely not.
You're bugging.
He's a good coach, but I don't know about the greatest of all time.
I didn't say the greatest. I said one of the greatest. I want to hear your argument. Why not? I mean,
I'll put Madden because okay, I'll tell you because Buddy Ryan was the architect of that defense.
That's unfair.
How is it unfair?
That's unfair because if that's the case, Bill Parcells had Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I mean,
most listen. Any coach, a coach's staff, because if I'm not mistaken, who Vince Lombardi was on? Oh my gosh, whose staff was he on? I'm drawing a blank right now, and I'll get it. But that they had this staff was like.
Yeah, he was the offensive coordinator
for the Giants.
Yeah, it was for the Giants before he went to the Packers.
Yeah, and I forget who the head coach was, but I mean, yeah, but that's I mean, yeah, okay.
It was him and Landry. Landry, I think, was the defensive coordinator.
Tom Landry. Yeah, but here's my thing, Scott. You said Buddy Ryan. What did Buddy Ryan do as a head coach?
Heck of a defensive coordinator.
He was, but what as a head coach? Because we're talking head coach now, and you got to think Bill Belichick when he was defensive coordinator for the Giants. He struggled with the Browns, but he was
And that 85 Bears team is arguably the best defense in football history.
And who was the head coach?
Mike Dicker was. Right. But I mean, Buddy Ryan established that defense, and I'm not taking too much away from Mike Dicker, but I'm not as hung up on. Oh, he was the coach of the '85 Bears. He should be the greatest in the greatest conversation. I feel like
Mike Ditka should be in the greatest conversation. I ain't saying he's the greatest, but he should be in the conversation.
Yeah, Walter Payton, and he had the 85.
Oh my God. Is that his fault? That is okay.
No, I'm just saying
don't do that, Scott.
I might be able to go out there.
Scott, don't do that.
And Walter Payton, and hey.
So let me ask you a question. Is Phil Jackson considered one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time?
Yeah.
Okay. He had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and he had Tom Thibodeau, who was the designer of the triangle offense.
This is the difference.
What's the difference? What is the difference?
The difference between Phil Jackson and Mike Ditka.
Not Tom Thibodeau, but you know who I'm talking about. But go ahead.
Phil Jackson clearly got those teams over the hump. When he took over as the Bulls coach, he got that team over the hump. When he went to the Lakers, he got the Lakers over the hump. The Lakers were winning, but they weren't going deep into the playoffs until Phil Jackson got there and gave them a system to run with. Mike Ditka, he studied under Tom Landry. I'm not going to take too much away from him, but he did walk into arguably the greatest defense of all time. That's unfair to judge him or rate him against a coach that had to build a program for 33 years. Or
who are you talking about?
I'm talking about like Shula or some of the other ones that we've named, or a Bill Walsh who created the West Coast offense, or a Paul Brown that, just the passing game, created what that looks like. So that's where I'm at with Ditka, to where it's like, yeah, you got a Super Bowl ring and I can't take that away from you. But what did you really change for me to consider you in the greatest conversation?
All right, I'm about to, because you making me mad now. So I'm about to look up his I'm about to look up his record. I'm not mad for real, but I want to look up his record as an NFL coach. And
don't look up that Saints record, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't that good.
So again, and let me correct myself. Tex Winter
and autumn draft picks he traded when he went to the Saints to get Ricky Williams. Oh my God, no, he's not in the conversation. All
right. So his coaching record, it was 121 wins and 95 losses. But you put that up against, how many years was that? And who we say before that you said we wouldn't consider who else we wouldn't consider?
I don't remember.
No. So, but before we even continue, it was Tex Winters that designed the triangle offense for Phil Jackson as an assistant. But I don't know, man. That's a good conversation, but I just.
But the comparison with Phil Jackson, you can't compare him, because you're comparing somebody that has, what's that, 9 weeks as a coach? No,
I was using your.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I said I was
11 rings as a coach, and I'm not even going to say I'm the biggest Phil Jackson fan, but he does have 11 rings.
He has 11. You sure?
He's got 5 with the Lakers, and he's got 6 with the Bulls, and he's got 2 as a player.
As a player.
Yeah. So he's got 13.
13 total. Okay. 13 total. But forget all of that, because he has the longevity over Mike Ditka. But what I'm saying, with your logic, he shouldn't be considered one of the greatest. Because Tex Winters was on his bench for a majority of those championships.
What I'm saying with Ditka is that he's considered, in my book, a good coach. I wouldn't put him up there with the greats. And one of my takeaways is that it wasn't like he went out there and designed that 4-6 defense. Now, like you said with Phil, okay, Tex Winters designed that, but a lot more goes into them 11 championships than Mike Ditka's won. It's not like Mike Dicker had 4 or 5 Super Bowls.
And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna tell you like this: it's harder to win a Super Bowl than it is to win an NBA championship. Not saying that either is easier, but it is a lot harder to win a Super Bowl than to win an NBA championship. If you get 2 good players on your team, you can win an NBA championship.
I think the odds are with you in football opposed to basketball.
No, it's not,
man. If you just look,
got more games to play in basketball. There's no way the odds are.
If you go back in the NBA history and you look at all the teams that won, it's really like the same 6 or 7 teams. I mean, you have one-offs here and there with like, the 78 Wizards, or you got the 2004. Well, I can't even put the Detroit Pistons in that argument. You got like the Cleveland Cavaliers every now and then, but for the most part, basketball has been dominated by the Celtics, the Lakers, the Bulls. It's a lot of teams that have not tasted a championship in basketball. And football, that's one of the quickest sports that you can go from worst to first really quickly. We've seen a lot of teams.
Now, it wasn't always like that, man.
Yeah, you talking like 30 years ago. Before you was born, it wasn't like that.
Scott, first of all, football's been around a lot longer than basketball. All right. But again, in basketball, and look you see him now, you starting to, because the Spurs have been around. They were an ABA team, but yeah, they
Spurs is a dominant team too.
But that's more like, again, like I'm talking like now. I'm not talking about in the 80s, because in the 80s there wasn't as many teams, and shoot, in the 80s, who won Super Bowls? The 49ers. The 49ers won what? 3 in the 80s? 4? How many did they win in the 80s?
I would say that basketball is dominated by errors of certain players. If you played in the Jordan era, you didn't get a ring. If you have to play, I mean, if you played for 6 years while Michael Jordan was playing, you didn't get a ring. You know what I mean? You look at the Magic and Bird years, that's 8 of them between them 2 players. And then you add Isaiah, that's another, that's 10 right there.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Isaiah won in the 90s.
He did, but you look at Magic had 5 rings, Larry Bird had 3, Isaiah had 2, Jordan got 6, Olajuwon got 2. It's hard to get into that mix. Scott, it really is. Scott, and then you go to the dominance of like the 2000s with the Spurs and the Lakers. I mean, and then you throw LeBron James. You got Dallas one odd year out there, and then you start to get into the dominance of the Golden State Warriors. It's difficult, for as far as football. Each year, for the most part, we've had a different Super Bowl champion. I mean, you've had the Patriots that have dominated, but they've lost in the Super Bowl. You've got a better chance of winning the Super Bowl than you do in basketball.
That's false. That is so false.
It's an opinion base.
No, it's not.
It is opinion based.
It's
like that's your opinion.
Listen.
Base.
Listen. So let's go. Let's go to the last 20 years, right? You look at the last 20 years of football, the last 20 years of basketball. Some may say it ain't been that competitive, because the Patriots been in 9 Super Bowls. 9 out of 10, 20 years, they were in the damn Super Bowl. They didn't win them all. But that's that in the AFC. If you was playing when Tom Brady was there, it was highly unlikely that you was going to make it to the Super Bowl. And then you how many other times did Peyton Manning play in the Super Bowl? 3 other times. And then you sprinkle a Flacco, and you sprinkle a whoever.
I'll tell you what. When I get off this call, I'm going to pull some statistical data.
Because we just came up with this, so that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
We just came up with it. I think, I don't know. Most people will probably agree with me. Most people probably are agreeing with me.
Yo, shut up.
Well, that's why you ain't posted one of the little comments. So.
No, nobody. Oh, I didn't. You know what? Here you go. Tamir says this. Nah, NFL is harder. And James say this. The last CBA last CBA changed teams' fortune in the NFL, making it harder to go to the Super or win a championship in football. Listen, and then you got to think, basketball, the best team don't always win. Well, maybe in football too, but still.
In the best of 7 series, I'm confident that if you win 4 games, you were the better team.
So you're gonna sit here and say that the 2016 Cavaliers were better than the 2016 State Warriors?
You have injuries in all sports, but any sport that you have a series, it's tough to argue that a team that won 4 games wasn't better than the other team. Now, people play the what if game and they'll say, oh, yeah, this person got hurt, or if this person would have had this person. But for the most part, in the 7-game series, if you win 4 games, you were the better team.
For the most part.
Yeah, in football, I'm not going to say the better team doesn't always win, but it's a 1 game. You know what I mean? And I think that's why people are more tuned in to football a lot of times because, or college football, you play 1 bad game, it could cost you.
And that's why it's harder to win a championship in football. Thank you, Scott. My case closed. Case, you just made my point.
With the way the draft is set up and the way that the schedules are in football, your chances of being sorry 1 year and being good the next year, I mean, they're there.
All right, I got a quick question since we're on football. Cam Newton, right? What? All right, so he hasn't signed yet, and we'll get to Andy Dalton in a second too. But Cam Newton hasn't signed yet, right? And he doesn't want to be. He wants to be a starter.
So I got one question while we on Andy Dalton. Having Andy Dalton
we'll get to that because I know you. No. Let's talk about Cam Newton first. We won't listen. It's
not heard around.
No, we gonna no. So look. All right, Cam Newton. He wants to be a starter. Does he deserve to be a starter?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Damn.
Absolutely.
So you think you know somebody? Because I just knew you was gonna say no. Who does he think he is to want to be a starter? I just knew he was gonna.
I've argued some points on this very show, but that's not going to be one of them.
No, and so I agree with that. I think honestly, what's really hurting Cam Newton right now is the coronavirus. I think because he can't take a physical, and he can't work out for teams really. They're kind of hesitant to try to sign him. But I don't think that's going to be. I think he's going to sign with a team who, at this point, I don't even know. But I
tell you what, though, Cam Newton is still better than at least 50 to 75% of the quarterbacks that are starting now, and I would take Cam Newton over a heartbeat.
Over Stidham? I'm joking, man. I'm joking. Over Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's not going to happen.
I would take him over Dwayne Haskins.
Absolutely. Yeah, but they're not going to sign him now because they already signed his backup from last year.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, he definitely deserves a job, man.
And I think he will. It's just a little baffling. Like, I don't know what Jacksonville sees in Minshew, but they must see a lot because, I mean.
So, I mean, we've always talked about it, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox. That first year is not an indicator of whether you're going to be a good quarterback. Once they get that film on you, it really could go either way, So I'm not going to say everybody has a good first year, but a lot of quarterbacks that come out there, they light it up. They get that game film on you. They start planning for you. They learn your tendencies, and it's a whole different story. And that's how I feel about Minshew and some of these other guys that are rookies or they're in their second year. Like, they haven't done anything. Right. Cam Newton has consistently. I mean, he was an MVP. He's had good seasons. I mean, they can talk about his throwing mechanics and his accuracy and all that stuff, but when Cam Newton's on the field, he makes teams better.
Right.
He should have a job.
Yeah. All right. So, let's hear it, man.
So Andy Dalton, I thought, you know what? I wouldn't go as far as to say the signing of him would make me sleep better. I mean, that's just a Cowboy statement. So I would expect nothing different from the Cowboys.
What? As far as what?
I mean,
it is a good pickup.
The Cowboys fans are all lined up talking about they going to the Super Bowl and talking about they got the best team, they had the best draft, and they signed Andy Dalton. And it's the same thing every year.
It's not the same thing every year.
It is the same thing every year. Every year it's going to be different. They're going to be better. I mean, shoot, I remember you last year talking about the Cowboys were going to go to the Super Bowl.
That's a lie. I didn't say that.
Man, you was talking about that roster.
Scott,
you was a believer.
Hold on. See, you are a used car salesman because you are going to sit here and lie. Because listen, we both know last year, you tried to not talk about the Cowboys at all. You didn't want to talk about the 49ers because you thought they were going to stink. You didn't think they were going to be as good.
I thought the 49ers were going to stink.
Yeah, and so we were talking about the Browns because that was what I was like, I think the Browns pickups were good. I thought that their quarterback was going to take a step forward, but I didn't really have any thoughts on their coach. He was terrible though. And you don't never hear me say that. Scott, you've known me forever. You've never heard me say, the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl.
I mean, he didn't say it like that, but you were definitely excited about the roster.
And I was excited about
and you thought, like most Cowboy fans out there, that they should dominate the NFC East.
Which they did. Which they did. They went 5-1.
Yeah.
They lost a bunch of one possession games. It happens.
I mean, they got a different coach, but it is the same thing I've heard for the past 20 years about the Cowboys. Every year they've got
not for me. Talent. They do like this year. This year, if you look at their draft, you've said it yourself that the Cowboys had a good draft. We're not blind. We see the guys that they picked up in the draft, and those are some good players. We seen the guys that they signed in free agency. Those are some good players. The only thing we're waiting for is for Dak to sign the 4-year, $100 and whatever million contract, and then let's go on about our merry way, and then we'll see what happens. But that pickup for Andy Dalton as a backup is a damn good pickup.
That's a good pickup.
It's a good as a backup. So now all these people that saying, "Oh, this is the Cowboys. This is them getting leverage over Dak." No, it's not, because you don't sign your quarterback for the future for 1 year for $3 million. No,
it's a good insurance policy. I mean, Andy Dalton, despite what people say, he could play. Is he a starter? That's up for debate. It's up for debate. As a backup, I think he's an elite backup.
And I'll say this. Andy Dalton played in one of the toughest divisions. Maybe not the winningest divisions, but as far as like defensively, he had to play against the Ravens and the Steelers year in and year out, twice a year. And I think that's – and I mean, and you got to think, at one point he won 10 plus games like 3-4 years in a row in that division. I mean – yeah, they couldn't win in the playoffs, but again, and that wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago where they were like winning a bunch of games in their division. Yeah, like a few years ago. So, I mean, the Cowboys have a really talented roster. I'll say that they have a really talented roster. You're not going to hear me say the Cowboys is going to the Super Bowl. I want to get to the playoffs first.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I'll be there Definitely root against them.
Yo, come on. Hey, look. So quick question about your 49ers. What is your prediction? And don't be I want what are your thoughts and your predictions? Don't try and be like, oh, I think we're gonna go 4-12.
No, I think we're gonna win the division.
Win the division.
What
else?
I think we'll be 12-4.
12-4. What was our record this year? 13-3?
Yeah.
13-3.
12-4.
I don't know if 12-4 is gonna win the division this year.
It will.
Over the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Yep. So, y'all play the Cowboys this year.
Yeah, I know.
You got to win or loss.
It's a win. It's a W all day of the week. And we'll put something up on it, too. Every day of the week. That's a
Can't wait.
That's a victory. Yep. And hopefully if everything
NFC Championship?
Nah, I ain't gonna be. Then the Cowboys aren't gonna be in the NFC Championship.
Okay. Are the 49ers?
Yeah, we'll be there.
Y'all listen to this. I guarantee you that this dude right here is gonna turn against Garoppolo, and he's gonna be like, this dude sucks.
More than likely.
Absolutely. And then when that line ain't blocking the way, and when y'all won a lot of one possession games, and we know how we've seen that story with teams winning one possession games and them being in close games the following year.
That's why we're about to pick up Cam Newton.
Y'all not picking up Cam
Newton.
I swear to God, y'all not picking up
Cam Newton. I'm telling you, you can start. You can start. I'm telling you, come play for the 49ers. You can start for us.
You recruiting?
I'm recruiting.
Yo, if y'all get Cam Newton, if y'all get Cam, listen to me when I tell you this. Listen to me when I tell you this. If y'all get Cam Newton, y'all going to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Y'all gonna play against the Cowboys.
We'll see, man.
Yo, damn, I ain't even think about it. I gotta go, man.
It's been real, man.
This man Scott always trying to get out of here, man. Yo, listen, you better have a win of the week next week, or I'm gonna get the people to jump you. They gonna jump you.
So I do got a quick question. Y'all doing the little
the battle?
Yeah, the battle.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll be tuned in.
Oh, listen. Just all you gotta do is send me a text if you want to join in, man. You just let me know.
I might not be ready, man.
Yo, where's your confidence at, man? You're supposed to be like, yo, listen, I'm trying to save y'all from getting y'all butts whooped.
No, y'all brought it last week. At first, I was like, I can get in there, but then y'all brought some songs out to cut. That I was like, all right, yeah, it made me think. So I don't know, man. I'll be tuned in.
All right, then.
All right, man.
All right, we out of here.
All right, peace. All right.